Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has denied claims by a former employee and now whistleblower that the social media giant puts profit before people. Former Facebook data scientist Frances Haugen told lawmakers yesterday the company is hiding from the public just how much their platforms harm children and promote hate. In a statement posted Tuesday evening, Zuckerberg said, quote, "At the heart of these accusations is this idea that we prioritize profit over safety and well-being. That is just not true." Joining us now is Rachel Bovard, Senior Policy Director at the Conservative Partnership Institute and Senior Tech Columnist for The Federalist. Rachel, welcome back. Great to see you. First off, I want to get your takeaways from that testimony on Tuesday.
So it was pretty interesting to hear from Frances Haugen, former Facebook employee, a couple of key takeaways. And the first is that, I'm not sure people should be listening to her for policy solutions necessarily. She made it very clear she does not want to break up Facebook. She wants to fix Facebook, and she wants the federal government to do it by setting up a big regulatory body to police for misinformation and for speech. And from where I sit on the right, where I would like more speech online, not less, I don't know that that would be entirely productive. But setting aside Frances Haugen, the information she's provided in terms of the documents that she released are pretty startling. I mean, it shows that what we know about Facebook, which is that Instagram and Facebook can be very harmful for the body image and mental health of teenage girls. Facebook knows this too, and it really hasn't stopped its rollout to children, to Instagram kids. There were documents in there suggesting that Facebook wants to, quote, leverage the playdates of children for more engagement on its platform. Also, some interesting insights about the fact that Facebook knows that the government of China is using its platform to track and harass Uyghur Muslims in that country, hasn't really done much about it. And then some really interesting insights into potentially illegal conduct by Facebook when it comes to how it's treating its advertisers, what it's telling its advertisers and investors about the reach of its platform. And Frances Haugen has turned those documents over to the Securities and Exchange Commission, who presumably will investigate. So a lot of interesting information in those documents. Not sure the policy solutions she's proposing are going to be effective, but again, useful information.
Yeah, and Rachel, all that said, we heard that statement from Mark Zuckerberg saying that Facebook doesn't put profit over safety and well-being. So with all of that said, what do you make of his statements?
I think Facebook is doing what it always does, which is sort of, dodging, not actually answering the questions. I'd love Mark Zuckerberg to make himself available to Congress to say, look, come and look at our research. Come and look at what we're doing. We'll open up our doors. You can peek under the hood. But that's not what he's doing. He's obfuscating. But again, Facebook knows that it's very, Congress hasn't done much in this space except hold hearings. They've never actually had a vote on any of these questions or put, bipartisan legislation forward, that's actually going anywhere. So in Mark Zuckerberg's brain, I'm sure he's just thinking, I have to get through another bad news cycle and then I can move on and do my business.
Yeah, and Rachel, what do you think is going to happen, from that testimony yesterday, if anything?
Well, I think that if anything is the big key here. I think you saw interest and anger from a lot of Republicans and Democrats, but we've been seeing that now for several years. So many of these Republicans and Democrats have legislative proposals, but there's, again, been no movement on the actual floor of the Senate and the House, which is what would really need to happen in order, for that to take effect. Now, you may see some movement from the regulatory agencies. You may see the Federal Trade Commission say, what Facebook is doing with kids may violate the law in terms of child privacy. And the SEC may, again, look into that, those disclosures about Facebook's ad business. But in the short term, that's really all I expect, because, again, Congress, as much as they like to beat their chests at these hearings, has shown very little in the way of actual engagement with policy solutions.
Yeah, another thing I want to talk about is before that testimony on Tuesday, on Monday, Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, they all went down worldwide for several hours, leaving everything sort of at a standstill. What more do we know about what actually happened? And the timing was also very curious as well.
The timing was curious, although from everything that I can tell and everything that I've read and seen, it almost looks like it was Facebook's own fault that Facebook did this to Facebook through a glitch by which everything on Facebook itself, but also the company's external servers that run the company itself. Everything flows through Facebook, and there was one error that was able to shut down the entire thing for about 7 hours. And we saw sort of the ramifications of that. You saw advertisers not being able to get through, small businesses that sell their wares on Facebook were blocked off from that pretty key area of commerce for them. So you began to actually see the reach of Facebook when Facebook was no longer available, and that tells you something about the dominance of the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for your time today and your analysis. We appreciate it. Rachel Bovard, Senior Policy Director at the Conservative Partnership Institute and Senior Tech Columnist for The Federalist. Always a pleasure having you on.
Thanks so much.